By the way, I just booked you for New York Fashion Week. I think you're limiting yourself by just doing fitness. Actually, when I was going through a breakup, they slid in my DMs.
Man.
Lady asked me if I was into adult breastfeeding. Wait, before you start, am I gonna dap you up, or do I just go sit down?
Just come sit down. Yeah.
Okay. I pop a squat. Yeah.
Welcome to the Be Empath podcast. For today's episode, we have Cade Wood. Cade Wood is a social media influencer and professional fashion model. He has notably modeled for very large brands like Playboy, Calvin Klein, and he's also been featured on numerous amount of international magazine covers. He has also been the author of several bestseller ebooks regarding fitness and has one coming out in December. So without further ado, please welcome Cade Wood. Welcome, brother. Dude, he is tall as How tall are you?
I am 6'7". I know, I got lucky in that department.
Welcome to the podcast, bro.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's been, I feel like this has been a long time coming.
When was your last podcast?
The last podcast I did was in Chicago. It was the Triple F podcast. It was like,
oh, really?
Fashion, fitness, and something else. I don't remember. But that was like during the summer. So I think that was like
Sick.
July.
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to interview you, bro.
Of course.
So just to give you a little bit of backstory, why don't you tell the folks where you just came from last night?
Oh, okay. So
So he's lacking a little bit of sleep.
So I think you can hear it. I think you can hear it in my voice. So last night was my older brother's bachelor party. So we went up to Blackhawk. One of his friends, shout out to Matt, did a phenomenal job. He booked us a suite, which was super sick.
The one you post on your Instagram story,
Yeah,
right?
I had to flex that. And then we went to the Chop House at Monarch. It's a steakhouse. Had dinner there.
Shit.
And then we gambled a little bit. I usually never gamble. I never drink. I never do anything. But this is a special occasion, so let loose a little bit last night. So played some roulette, played some blackjack, left up like $300. So it was a good night, a successful evening. And then I left at 3 o'clock in the morning, got home at 4, and then got up at 8 to get ready for this.
Damn, bro. Well, we appreciate the dedication.
Of course.
So just to give the people that are listening and the people that are watching a quick interview into who you are, a quick intro into who you are. Just give them a short synopsis as to who is Cade Wood. We'll dive into it deeper, but who is Cade Wood?
So Cade Wood is a ambitious, driven dreamer, essentially.
Damn, that was hard.
I have a lot of big aspirations, and I have my toes kind of dipped in a lot of different areas. The biggest goal that I have is to inspire people and to influence them to pursue the version of themselves that they've been putting off. So do the things that they've always wanted to do, because I believe that passion is the driving force of life. And if you wake up without passion, without purpose, you're kind of just drifting through life, and that's something that I don't want to do.
Damn, that sounds like what an old man would say, bro. That's some wise words. So I want to dive deep into who you are today and how you've shaped to who you've become today. So starting off, there isn't too much information on you, before, when you started playing competitive basketball, type of thing. But what was growing up like up until you started playing basketball? Were you always involved in sports? Were you always... Because obviously you're a fitness model too, so were you always in the gym growing up? Did you get into that recently? How did that sort of happen?
It started is, as a younger kid, I was actually kind of a nerd.
Oh,
I didn't really, my parents had us all involved in sports. So I have 3 siblings. I have 2 older and 1 younger. And we always were in sports. We were always competitive. We were always kind of active doing stuff. And for a while, I was just really uncoordinated. And I didn't have the athleticism that my older and younger brother were kind of blessed with from an earlier age. I got really into acting. So actually, I did a lot of plays. I did professional level plays. I was casted in a Hershey's commercial, all this other kind of stuff.
Wait, how old were you?
When I got I think I was 10 or 11.
You were in a Hershey's commercial?
Yeah, Hershey's Drops. I remember it specifically.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So I did that.
So you started fashion and modeling a long time ago before you even knew it.
I never did any fashion or modeling. See, here's the thing is I grew up so back to the story. So grew up competitive. I did baseball, basketball, football, pretty much all growing up, kind of like most guys do. And then once I kind of hit like middle school, I was like way more passionate about basketball. I took a step away from acting. I think a big part of it was because like it wasn't cool
at the time.
Yeah, so it was kids, you know, like when you're in middle school and high school, like the perception of your peers is like
everything.
Yeah. And sports was the easiest way to get that. And but I did like fall in love with basketball, and so all of my eggs went into the basketball basket. So middle school, high school, basketball was my life, and then I was able to go play college basketball at Western Colorado University, which was an amazing time. Had a lot of really great friends, and so it was during COVID that modeling kind of became more of something I was like interested in.
Really? Okay.
And the reason before that was my confidence grew a bunch. So I broke my foot my freshman year of college, so I couldn't play. And I was like, all right, I'm a skinny guy. I was 6'7", 155.
What the fuck? 155 pounds.
I was really skinny. So I was like, all right, I need to bulk up. I need to get stronger. So when I broke my foot, I just went all in on the gym.
Okay.
I started like taking.
So COVID was when that happened, right?
No. So sorry, backtrack. This was like 2018, 2019.
Okay.
Broke my foot. Got really into the gym. I found Steve Cook on YouTube, like all those guys, like Steve Cook, David Lade.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like the gym is a lot of fun. Growing up, I hated the gym because I was weak. Like I couldn't move weight. I didn't like the exercises I was doing. Everything was very like athlete focused, which I found out now, like after some time, is like I just didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I found out I enjoyed like the bodybuilding style of lifting because it's like you're lifting, you're like sculpting your physique.
It's more for aesthetics also,
exactly.
Right?
It's like, and that just
strength,
built my confidence up like crazy. And so after I put on, I think like 15 pounds of muscle, like I managed to get bigger and leaner at the same time naturally, which like is hard to do, but I think because of my like fast metabolism, it makes it a lot easier. So did that. COVID hit, and during quarantine, I was like, all right, I got so much free time on my hands. I'm gonna try to like look into this like modeling stuff. So, you know, I had gained some muscle. I had like learned skincare routine. I'd started to like figure myself out like from an appearance standpoint.
Okay.
And then Christian Guzman posted on his story that Alpha Elite was looking for models, and to email your submissions to his photographer Kirby. I was like, all right, why not? Let's try it. So I submitted photos to her. They loved it. So then they sent me a package and they set up a photo shoot in Denver for me to do at like a studio.
Wow.
And so I did that, sent it to them, and then the next day I was on the website.
Damn, dude, that's
right
impressive.
After I got the photos back and sent it to them, next day I was on the website, and so I was like, wow, that's crazy.
How big were you on social media back when that happened?
So it was interesting. So because of college sports, you're kind of already like in like a spotlight, like when you play other schools, because there's a few thousand people in the stands. So I had like a decent following. I had like 3,300, which like for someone who had 2 posts on social media, that's not bad. But then the Alpha Elite post went up, and I went from like 3,000 to 5,000 in like 2 days.
Really?
So I grew a lot, and then like my engagement went up a lot as well. And I was like, oh, this is like kind of addicting.
Yeah.
And like I was like, oh, this is like kind of addicting.
Yeah.
In like a shallow way. But so I didn't really have like a big following. But once I started to see like the exposure and then like the money that came with it, along with like code usages and all that other stuff. And then like you see all these other influencers on like YouTube and stuff, and you're like, wow, like this is a great lifestyle, because it's essentially sales just in a more fun context.
Right.
So I kind of just like started diving more into social media because I saw like the opportunity was there, and that like I had started some traction in that way. So I just kind of started posting, like it started at once a week, then went to 3 times a week, then went to 5 times a week, and then now I kind of hover around like 4 to 7 times a week. Just on Instagram.
When you first started posting on social media, it's a 2-part question. When you first started posting on social media, what did your post consist of? Was it mainly modeling? Was it like sort of fitness shoots for like Alphalete? And then second question, what was your first sponsorship deal? Was it Alphalete or was it somebody else?
Yeah, so I never had a sponsorship with Alphalete. I was just a model for them.
Okay.
So I would get like free clothes and all that fun stuff. But the fashion modeling stuff didn't start until September of last year. So I'm like still
Really?
brand new into the fashion industry.
Wow.
I just have had I've had some really good opportunities come up
Yeah,
front. So
for sure, yeah.
that's helped a lot. So for a long time, from basically 2021 to when I graduated in 2022, my social media was just fitness. Like I had the whole intention of just being a fitness influencer. I went down to Houston and shot for Alphalete and Zephyr.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was getting ready to move down there. Like that was like the whole goal was like, I'm just going to go all in on fitness. I've seen some success with my books, with my coaching, with code usages, all that kind of stuff. And then we can go into like the fashion, like how I got into the fashion industry in a bit. My first sponsorship deal was with my still current clothing sponsor, Edge Lifestyle.
Really?
Yeah, so the owner of that is How to Beast on YouTube.
Yeah,
He's like 1.5 million subs or something crazy.
Did you start watching him also when you were like starting to get like into like hardcore like bodybuilding lifting? Was it a combination of CG and him, or?
It was interesting. So I found him actually when I was going through a breakup.
Oh.
So
let's dive deep into that.
So yeah, like I mean nothing. It was just we were young. Just kind of wasn't like the right situation. It was long distance. There was just like a lot of variables. But so I went through like a tough breakup, and then found How to Beast on YouTube, and it was like things you should be doing in your 20s as a male. So my first, so I signed the contract with Edge in December of 2021.
Okay. So that was your first like real sponsorship.
Yeah, that was my first contract, and I'm still with them. They've flown me out to Houston a couple times. I get to help decide like what products we release and like the new drops and stuff. Like, I get to be very involved. That's a big part of the reason why like I'm still with them, because they're amazing.
That's sick.
And then the next sponsorship after that was Beam Supplements. You Can Beam, so it's Be Amazing. And the owner of it actually had a cancer.
Okay.
And the only drug that caused it to go into remission was called Beam. So like it all kind of worked together. So
okay, that's cool.
yeah, they're a phenomenal company, great people to work with. The reason I had to step away was they are very female focused. And so I and like less than half of my audience is female. So it's like it was hard for me to market that.
True.
And so, you know, we just kind of like a mutual thing, like, hey, like your aesthetic just doesn't really match our thing, but like, you know, you're still doing well. Is that kind of thing. It was just kind of like a mutual step away. And then now I'm with Nutra Innovations.
Yep, Nutra.
Love Nutra.
Yeah, Nutra is really good. So going on from your sponsorships as well, after you got the deal with Edge Lifestyle, because that was like, I would say like, would you say like your first sort of like official type of like introduction, sort of like branding as Cade Wood, the social media influencer, like fashion model type of thing. From there, when you were growing your social media, were there any other like notable sort of moments or like gigs that you were able to land because of your social media as you were growing them?
Yeah, so the things, so something that like came unexpected, not really like a gig, but it was like when my, so I published my first book.
The ebook, right?
The ebook, yeah. Ultimate Abs, like how to get abs. Because like, as we were talking about earlier, I got like 100 DMs a day on how to get abs. And I was like, I'm just going to streamline this as easily as possible, as effectively as possible.
Yeah.
And so the power of social media is like when you have an audience and you have people that are interested in you, you're able to like produce a lot more kind of like side things that you know people are going to be interested in, which is like a big perk in my opinion. So I published the Ultimate Abs thing, and I think that like, I think it got like 5,000 downloads the first day.
Damn.
It went crazy.
Really?
Yeah, so it was an Amazon bestseller for a little bit.
What was your following back then?
The following when I had that was, I think I was like right around 10K. Like I was like right under or above 10K. And
I guess I wonder, how did that traffic funnel to that ebook? Because that's almost half of your following.
Yeah, so what happened was I started posting stories, like I started hinting at it. I was like, it was very subtle for like a month. It was like almost every day there was just like a little taste of like what I was doing. And the closer I got to the release date, the more I was like information I was giving out.
Okay.
And then I just kind of like dropped this bomb on people because I'd piqued everyone's interest because people were DMing like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, you just kind of keep saying like, oh, project underway. Oh, like something good for y'all. Like something, you know, something different.
Yeah.
Kind of like to get people to be like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then like once I dropped it, like I was like, oh, I just published my first book. It's available on Amazon for free. Blah blah blah. Like everyone was like, oh my god. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
And you published that in the fall of 2021, right?
yeah, I was a senior in college.
Damn.
What's funny is that book was actually a senior project for one of my classes. The teacher gave me a
two birds
B.
with one stone.
The teacher gave me a B 3 days before I published it. And then the
You showed
following
them.
week, it was a #1 bestseller.
Yeah.
So I took a screenshot and sent it to her. It's still one of my favorite moments.
That's hilarious. So transitioning from that, when you released your first ebook, fall of 2021, describe the time from then to when you got your first magazine sort of feature on Imperial. Like, how did that sort of happen? How did that sort of come to be?
Ooh. So from that, it was so the first magazine I got after that was, I believe, Voyage.
Oh, okay.
And
Denver
that
Voyage?
Yeah, and that was an interview of like, okay, you are 22 years old, you're a bestseller, you're playing college basketball, you're doing influencing, you're doing like all these modeling things, like kind of how are you doing? It was like an interview with them, and that was a lot of fun. They're like great people to talk to. It's kind of like, it's a similar format to this where you just get to talk for a little bit and then they will word it and
Create a little article.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so that process happened. It was like a couple months after the first ebook.
Okay.
And then it was sort of more as like people, photographers and stuff in Colorado started to like reach out to me for like modeling gigs. That was when like those other magazines kind of started to funnel in.
And were you with an agency at that time, or
No,
did you
I was
have an agent, manager?
No, my manager came later. I was completely on my own for a
Really?
while. Yeah.
Damn.
And I do believe that served me in a sense where it's like I was able to learn the game. I was able to learn like how to read contracts and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I did that for a couple months up until my manager came up.
Your current manager?
Yeah, my current manager.
Is Jeff was his name, or
Paul.
Paul. Okay, yeah.
Shout out Paul.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So when did you get your first? Since I asked the question, when did you land your manager?
So Paul and I actually have a really funny story. So as everybody else who's on social media knows, like you get DMs constantly from people like, oh, I can help your business, or I can help your page grow, or I can get you like X amount of money, blah, blah, blah. There's all these like scams essentially of people being like, how much they can help you. And so Paul DM'd me, he was like, hey, I'm a talent manager in LA. And where he told me, he's like, I think you're limiting yourself by just doing fitness. And I was like, I have no idea what you mean by that. Because like, I didn't know anything outside of like the fitness industry. And so he was like, so we were talking and he kept trying to get on a phone call with me. And I was like, I don't really know if I can do that. He goes, okay, give me a week. If you're happy with what I produce, then we can keep working together. If you're not happy with it, you can block my number. I'll never bother you again. And I was like, okay, this guy's confident.
That's an ambitious man.
Yeah, I was like, this guy's confident. And then the next day, it was like 11 a.m. He texts me. He goes, by the way, I just booked you for New York Fashion Week. Flight, hotel, everything is covered. I was like, oh my God. And so the brand that he booked me with, the designer is like the host of it's like Australia's Got Talent or something like that. And he also like interviews celebrities all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so
when was that?
That was
your first New York Fashion Week.
My first New York Fashion Week was September of 2022.
Okay, so like almost a year later. Yeah,
it was like a little over a year ago.
Okay.
And so from that kind of like, so that's kind of like New York was kind of what shifted my whole like path in life basically. Yeah. So I like was gung-ho about fitness, was gonna move to Houston, do like the Alpha Land thing, because you know a lot of the companies I work with are based down there.
Yeah.
I got a lot of friends who are videographers, photographers, all that stuff. So it was like I could get content constantly.
Correct.
I did New York Fashion Week, and from that, like the opportunities just started to open up like crazy. Where like I was traveling, 3-4 times a week for shoots and stuff like that.
Damn.
And so I saw how much like opportunity I had in the fashion industry. So I was like, I'm just gonna keep going with it. And so it's been like my main thing for a little bit.
Damn. I want to dive deep into your first experience at the New York Fashion Week. What was that like? Because that was probably that was your first like official sort of modeling gig.
Yeah,
also.
that was my first like
what was the
fashion
experience
modeling
like?
gig.
Yeah.
That was my first time I ever did a runway too, which is on like the biggest stage in the fashion industry.
How did you prep for that?
I watched a lot of people on YouTube and like Instagram and stuff. It was like, because I didn't know what to expect, so I just like looked up like New York Fashion Week male model, and like there's just a bunch of clips that were going on, and so I was like, okay, so like that's how you walk, that's how you do this. But what's
So you
really
literally
funny,
were just on YouTube, literally just
YouTube University is how I've learned 90% of things.
You just literally were practicing walking in your place.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah, so
damn.
and so like what I've learned over time is in fashion and like runway and stuff is like there's different types of walks.
Okay.
So depending on what you're wearing, depending on the music, depending on the venue, depending on what the designer tells you, like you walk to different beats, you walk with different postures, you walk with different arm movements and like that kind of stuff. So,
Damn.
But this one, it was a swimsuit company, so it was a lot more like laid back.
Oh, okay.
But my very first New York Fashion Week was in a Speedo.
No, it wasn't.
It was, and James Charles and
No way,
James
bro.
Charles was in the audience, and so was the chick who plays Eleven in Stranger Things.
Really?
I have no idea what her name is. I'm blanking out.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So they were both in. I found out later that they were both in the audience.
Damn.
But yeah, so I've walked in front of Russell Wilson. I've walked in front of like Allen Iverson,
Dang.
Evander Holyfield.
Jeez.
Yeah, a bunch of other like influencers and stuff. But
So, one other question I wanted to ask,
Yeah.
because since we're on the New York Fashion Week, and we actually got this question from one of my buddies, Hunter, because he dosed me in on this. So we've heard that like the environment around just New York Fashion Week is like super stressful for the designers and like more specifically the models as well. What was that like environment and atmosphere like on the day of leading up to it, rehearsals, all that type of thing? Stressful?
This is a really funny thing that not a lot of people know about fashion is everyone sees like New York Fashion Week and it's such a sophisticated, well-run event.
Okay.
Behind the scenes, it is absolute chaos. Nobody knows where they're supposed to be. Nobody knows what time they're like, because a lot of times shows are running behind, like an hour and a half behind. Like I've had shows run
Really?
2.5 hours behind, and like you're racing across New York because you have different shows at different venues. You have shoots, you have meetings, you have all this stuff. So it's like it's stressful in a way that not a lot of people, like in a different way than I think people think, where it's like. I think typically people think that it's stressful because it's like, oh, you gotta look super good and all this other stuff. It's like the castings are stressful, but it's like once you're casted, it's a lot more laid back because you have, like you've already solidified your spot. You know where you're going. You know who you're with. You know that they chose you. So it's like you pretty much just have to do hair, makeup, get dressed, and then walk for them. Because it's like once you kind of get out on like the runway, and like the lights hit you and you see there's like 80 cameras on the end of stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's just such it's a really addicting feeling. So
Yeah, I bet. Damn, that's crazy, dude.
I was very stressed the first time I did it just because I had no idea what to expect. And the runway was different than, you had to come out, go out to the right, and then come back, and then go left, and then go up another runway, and then come back.
Really?
So it was like a U formation as
Damn.
opposed to just like the typical like down and back.
And you've been, just since we're on the topic, you've been on the New York Fashion Week
3 times.
runway 3 times.
3 times. So I
Okay.
did September, February, and September. So there's 2 New York Fashion Weeks every year.
Oh, okay. So
Yes.
fall and then like spring.
So I believe the February one is for the like winter collections, and then the September
okay.
one is for like the spring and summer collections.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So and then I'm also prepping right now. I'm working on starting like a YouTube series.
Oh yeah, that'd be
Once
sick.
like it gets closer, where I'm doing because I'm doing London, Italy, and Dubai Fashion Week in February and March.
Damn.
So I'm gonna start like doing like a little prep docu-series for YouTube and social media about like how you get ready for that. Because as far as I know, nobody from Colorado has done London, Italy, and or Dubai Fashion Week.
Are there other sort of like notable like fashion models here in Northern Colorado that you're aware about?
Not that
or are
I'm
you
aware
like kind of like
Not that I'm aware of. I'm not super involved. Like, here's the thing: is like, there could be a bunch of models, and I have no idea who they are. Just because it's like, just because you're a big model doesn't also mean you have a big social media. Like, I've seen a lot of people, who walk for like Versace, who've been published in Vogue, and they only have like a couple thousand followers.
right? Yeah.
Just because like, the good looks, or just because like, as we all know, the algorithms are weird.
Yeah.
So it's like, some people hit, some people don't. Everyone kind of has their time, I think. So I do believe like there's a lot of successful models in Colorado that I'm not aware of.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough.
Especially because we all have such different careers. Like, no two models have like the exact same thing, because you have different looks and the market's looking for different things, and you have different agencies. Like, I have 5 agencies.
That you work with.
Yeah.
Damn.
So like, I'm constantly traveling and stuff. So like, very little of the work I do is actually in Colorado.
So how often do you travel per month? Would you say on average?
So it depends. If it's a busy season, I'll probably travel like 2 or 3 times a week. And then if
Damn.
it's like a slower period, kind of like what we're going into right now, like November and December is like the slow period of modeling, because it's like companies are taking a step back from the producing and stuff, and they're doing more of like the behind the scenes work of planning, like, okay, when's our next campaign? What are we trying to do? What's the next collection going to look like?
Yeah.
So it's like November, December, January is typically a little slower.
Okay.
So
Gives you time to rest also, because that's a lot of traveling.
it is a lot of traveling, but like, I enjoy it.
Fair
I don't
enough.
fit on airplanes. That's like the biggest problem. But other
Yeah,
than that,
being
it's fine.
6'7", I can imagine.
Yeah.
So you've been pretty much everywhere. What are some of the places you've been? Just list them out really like for modeling.
For modeling, it's pretty much LA, New York,
Okay.
Miami, Chicago.
Those are the main hubs.
Yeah, that's where I go. I've been working on, so I have an agency in South Africa, and we've tried to set up a few shoots, but either the companies just kind of bailed out, or, like, it just was too expensive, because they want to cover everything for when I go. So the next time I go, they're like, hey, like, I know we've been teasing you, so like, we're going to make it up to you. So we're doing we're going like cage diving with great whites, I think next summer.
Damn.
It's gonna be super
That's
fun.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of Africa, we talked about this off of the pod, but you just got this news this morning as you were driving here to the podcast that you were featured on a billboard
Yeah, I was
in Ghana, right?
Yeah, billboard in Ghana for one of the brands I walk for in New York.
That's huge.
Yeah, that was super cool. That's my second billboard in the last month.
Because the other one was on Times Square, right?
Yeah, Times Square billboard.
And what was that feeling like?
I cried.
Really?
I'm not gonna lie. So I was so how New York Fashion Week works is it's like 4 days. It's like 4 days of like constant shows. It's 3 days, whatever it is. So in those like 4 days, I had 12 walks,
Damn,
which was
dude.
crazy. It was super busy, and that was between 2 venues. Or no, I had 12 walks at one venue and I had 3 walks at another venue. So I did 15 in 4 days.
So you did one and then went to the other, like later on.
Yeah, so I would go back and forth if I needed to.
You would go back and forth again.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But so I was on my way. So
Here,
the show that was on Times Square was the night before at like 11 p.m., like very late.
Damn.
So did that show, and then we went and did a little shoot in Times Square, and then I went back, and then I had to be back at hair and makeup at 7 a.m. So it was like a very quick turnaround. So I got home at probably close to like 1:30, and then had to get up at 6, and I was waiting for my breakfast, and the designer from the night before texted me and was like, hey, this guy looks familiar, and it was me on Times Square.
Damn,
And
bro.
so like, I got my food, I got to the subway, and like you kind of sit down, you have that moment of like realization. Oh my God.
It
And so
actually
like
happened.
it hit me, and like I smiled and like had like tears running down my face. I probably looked like a psychopath on like the subway. I probably wasn't even the craziest looking person on the subway, but yeah, that was one of the like greatest feelings I've ever had.
It's such a huge accomplishment for a fashion model, I think, in general as well.
Yeah.
And to do that so early, I'd say, in your fashion career is like super impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate
Super
that.
impressive.
What's crazier is I was going back through it. So I'm a big like journaler. Like I like to like write down like my goals, my aspirations, my thoughts, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at it actually not too long ago, and I found out like a little over a month before I got it. That was my goal for New York Fashion Week. It was like I wrote down, it was like goals for New York Fashion Week, and number 2 was be on a billboard.
You manifested
and we
that shit,
manifested
bro.
that. Heck yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about the other brands that are on your social media. I'm not quite sure if you've worked with them officially or not, but I want to break down each one and see like what the story is behind them. So first and foremost, Calvin Klein. What was that relationship like?
So
how did that come up?
Calvin Klein, I think is like the goal for a lot of models.
Yeah.
And I got very fortunate to the point where I was able to connect with their casting director very early on, as well as their photographer for their last 2 campaigns.
Okay.
So they both helped me out a lot. And so the other thing was, so I have done shoots like for them, and then they purchased the rights to the photos. So they are putting me up on a wall in Europe in 2024.
Damn.
So in one of their like Calvin Klein stores, I think it's in Belgium. I'll be up on a wall. They sent me like the mock-up of what it's supposed to look like, and it's
fucking sick.
It's super sick, yeah.
Now speaking of that, I know we're transitioning off again, but have you ever been on like other sort of like billboards and stores for like the other brands you model for? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that would be like the first like official.
That'd be my first
like,
official wall.
That's cool.
Which is like, I think I have to fly out there. I have to.
That'd be pretty fucking sick.
That'd be a dream come true.
So how many times have you worked with Calvin Klein?
I believe I just wrapped up my 3rd official time.
3rd time.
Yeah.
That's sick. And it's Calvin Klein. Do you do like? Because I know it's a clothing brand that's comprised of several different sort of pieces. Mm-hmm. Were you mainly like a undergarments model?
Yeah, so I do a lot of their underwear stuff. And then the last thing we just shot was their new like white jeans.
Okay.
Like that, because they're kind of shifting away from like the sexy underwear like aesthetic. They're trying to build more into like just like the fashion and like the sophisticated stuff. So they're introducing a lot more like clothes into their shoots. So it's a lot more like denim, a lot more jackets, a lot more pants and stuff like that.
And how did that relationship start, and when did it start?
It started after I did. So I had become familiar with their casting director. I sent him some photos, and then he put me in a group chat with one of their main stylists. So their casting director, he's the one based in New York.
Okay.
And then the stylist is also the one based in New York, because they have like different offices.
Okay.
So that started probably 8 months ago.
Oh, okay. So that's fairly recent too.
Yeah. So it's still a newer relationship. It's a lot of the stuff in the fashion industry has just been moving really fast, and so that's why I've sort of like put not necessarily like the brakes on for the fitness stuff, but it's more just like I'm starting to implement more fashion stuff, and I think that's something that kind of gives me like the edge on social media.
Yeah.
Is I don't know anybody else in fitness or fashion who's doing both.
Right.
Not to say I'm the best at it, but to say like I think that's what separates me from others.
I think you're right. The only person I can think of notably that was like almost in that but transitioned into like the other side of it, and like was like a fashion model, or more I'd say like a fitness model, and then moved on into just like fitness influencing his own sort of thing, was Steve Cook, right? Because he was like
he's an interesting guy, and he's kind of like where I learned like everything from, in terms of like kind of like how to pose properly, how to flex properly, how to do all these things, because it's supposed to look like easy on your face, but your body's like tight, and that's a hard thing to like learn. But yeah, he was like always big into like fashion, I think, like throughout his whole career, and like that was kind of like what separated him in like the gym, was like his gym fits were always like a lot more like they were just different.
Yeah.
And that like started to catch people's eye, because then he got like, I think he was on his like 3rd line with Gymshark or something like that.
Yeah.
And so obviously like he was able to design that, which I think separated him for sure.
Yeah. Now the other brand that you've worked with, Playboy, how did that manifest?
They slid in my DMs.
Man.
I was going through my requests one day, and I saw the blue check. And this was before you could pay for it.
So you're just like scrolling like,
yeah, so
if it doesn't have a blue check, I'm not looking at it.
I was just scrolling through my requests, just because like I try to respond to everybody who messages me as long as it's like appropriate.
Yeah.
Because some of my DMs are, out
Sexual?
of pocket. Oh, extremely.
From guys or girls?
Both.
No way.
Both. Yeah, they're wild.
Wait,
so, like,
hold on. I gotta ask about this.
Okay.
What's the craziest you've seen
From a woman.
from a DM?
So from a woman, this lady asked me if I was into adult breastfeeding. Sent me a picture of her tits. And,
No way.
God, from guys, it's like guys are just very aggressive. Like, I think the funniest one I got is this guy offered me $500 to tickle his feet.
No fucking way, bro. There's no way. Dead ass.
Dead ass. But it's like guys will like, people will like try to buy my underwear, buy my socks. They want to see like videos of my toes. Like it's all types of stuff.
I always used to hear about this, but I never actually believed it.
No, it's,
and even more so from a fucking guy.
Yeah.
That's
so it's
fucking
like
crazy.
Because I have some female friends who are like influencers and stuff too. It's like I don't even want to know what's in
their DMs. Yeah,
because I know what mine are like, and my following's not as big as theirs. And it's like I don't know, because like it's just it's easy to do when you're behind a screen. You can kind of say whatever you want and get away with it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
My DMs get hilarious.
So going back onto Playboy, how did that sort of manifest, and what was that like? You were looking at a DM they sent you.
Yeah, so they sent me a DM. They said, "Hey, Cade, like we love your profile. We think you have a great look. We're looking for more like male models."
Okay.
And I was like, "Okay, I'm your guy." And so I still have a really great relationship with them. Like something that's like really cool about them that you don't see from a lot of like big companies, because like they have like 10 million on Instagram.
Yeah, they're
like
big.
Really close. Like they're a very big company, and like arguably everybody in the world knows who Playboy is. So like to me, it's like getting to work with such like a huge brand is like an honor.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's like the other thing about it is they are the nicest company I've ever worked with.
Really?
Arguably, it's like if I send them an email, I'll hear back within like 2 hours.
Wow.
On weekends, on nighttime, whatever. Like they're very responsive. They're very sweet. They're very understanding. Like they take care of me, which I really appreciate. So yeah, how that first manifested was they were like, okay, like we're gonna send you our newest. I believe it was like their upcoming spring collection, because they DM me in November.
Okay.
So I had like all of December to get them photos and stuff. So they set up a shoot with a studio, with a photographer, hair and makeup. Yeah, they did it in Denver, which I think is smart because it's like it saves them a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it saves them a lot of time and like hassle and stuff, because they're like, okay, like we already have all this other stuff going on. You know what to do. We're gonna send you the stuff because you get to keep it anyways. And so yeah, so they sent me like a box of it, and so I get a package from them still like monthly.
That's
and,
sick.
Like to show like how caring they are. Like I told them I was going to my friend's wedding one weekend. They're like, oh, like what are you doing this weekend? I was like, oh, one of my friends is getting married, and so they sent me custom cigars, lighter, and a pipe that was like engraved, had the Playboy logo on it, like all this stuff. And they're like, oh, this is for you guys to go have a good time.
They know what they're doing, bro.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that.
Oh, they're amazing.
The other brand I wanted to ask you about was Spur of the Moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fragrance, isn't it?
Yes. Their newest fragrance is Instinctive.
Instinctive.
And I just did the one of the campaigns for it.
Okay.
So that was a lot of fun.
How did that come about? Did you get a call from your manager or?
So that one came through social media.
Okay.
One of my buddies who I met at New York Fashion Week, he's a very successful model in Georgia, which is where Spur of the Moment's based.
Okay.
And so like I liked their post, and then they like messaged me. They're like, hey, like glad you like our stuff, blah blah blah. So we kind of got into talking, and then they spoke with my manager, and then we kind of formulated like a contract basically. So did the shoot for them. They were very very pleased with it, and so now we're getting ready for the next campaign for the next scent, which is at the beginning of this upcoming year.
That's sick.
So at the beginning of 2024, I'll be going out to Georgia to shoot another campaign for them, which I'm very excited about.
That's really awesome. And that was recent too.
Yeah, that was very recent.
Yeah.
That was like last month, I think.
Okay. And then there was one other brand you worked with. I don't know if they're local to Denver or not, but it's Fix Your Lid.
Fix Your Lid. Yeah.
Are they local? Or because I
So
know you were doing stuff in Denver.
Yeah,
when
so
I've seen.
their marketing team is like based in Denver.
Oh,
Well, yeah,
okay.
so I do believe that they are based in Denver. So Fix Your Lid, for anybody who's like watching,
Yeah.
is very similar to Crew, like the Crew hair
American
products.
Crew, the hair products.
Yeah, exactly. So they're, the reason for that is one of the owners of Crew bought out his share, I believe, and then stepped away and started Fix Your Lid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's like almost the exact same formula for a third of the price.
Oh, shit.
So they
Okay.
they messaged me, so they emailed me and they're like, hey, like, we love your stuff. But I signed on with them originally as like an influencer.
Okay.
So they're like, hey, like, we'll just pay you just to like promote the products. And then it was like, as time went on and like I developed a good relationship with them, they started to use me for a lot more stuff. So for example, we just did the we can't fix the world, but we can fix your lid campaign.
Okay.
Where we brought in this homeless man named Preacher. We gave him a haircut. He got to tell like his story. He got to bring a lot of insight. So I basically just interviewed him for like an hour while he got his haircut.
Damn.
And then I was able to give him $500 cash.
How did that feel?
That was amazing.
'Cause-
the like smile, like the look on his face, and like how hard he like hugged me was like one of the greatest feelings ever. It was, it's like that's like my favorite thing about like social media, is like the connection that I'm able to make with like so many more people that I never would have been able to without it.
True. When was that campaign?
That was in July.
July.
It
Okay,
was
nice.
June or July. That was like when we filmed it.
Okay.
So the the person who's like salon we shot it at, she does it out of her basement. So she
Really?
like pimped out her basement to be a salon. So we kind of basically had like our own studio down there.
That's sick.
And yeah, the Fix Your Lid team is amazing. Everyone from like the marketing side, the business side, everyone's very like involved. And so like they're just a great company to work with. Like that's family right there.
So just to review really quickly, what brands are you like actually like officially sponsored with?
I'm officially sponsored by Edge Lifestyle
Okay.
and Nutra Innovation.
Nutra Innovation. Okay.
Yes, and technically V Shades. It's like a sunglasses company.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're just very back and forth, so
Really?
I don't mention it a whole lot. It's
Fair enough.
not even because of anything. It's just because like it's hard to upkeep with social media, especially if you don't have like a designated social media manager.
And they don't.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Oh,
I
okay.
just hear from them like once a month.
Okay.
So technically, I have a contract with them, but it's very flexible, I guess.
So transitioning to present day,
Yeah.
you were just featured on a Times Square billboard, and just this morning a Ghana billboard for these different brands you've worked with. How surreal has it been taking a look back, like just 2 years ago when you like officially like were starting like modeling? Which did you ever think that you would have, I guess, gotten this big this quickly? Like everything's happening so quick. It seems like as a fashion artist.
It's happening crazy fast, and honestly, no, I had no idea it was ever gonna get to this level, especially like as fast as it did. But at the same to the same point is like it's like I'll look back and be like, oh, that's sick, but I don't really celebrate for more than like 24 hours.
Because you're just like, what's the
like,
next thing?
Exactly.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
I'm constantly focused on like what's next, what can I do better, what can I improve on? Because it was like the Times Square billboard was sick.
Yeah.
And then like over time I was analyzing, I was like, okay, this is like where I went wrong in the walk. This is where I wasn't posing properly. Like this is where like I need to improve. And I do think that mindset, like, I think that to an extent, if you let it like go too far, it can be unhealthy.
Damaging. Yeah, for sure.
But also I do think it's very necessary because people who get so stuck on what they've done don't do anything new.
Yeah, they become complacent.
Exactly.
Essentially, yeah.
And I hate being complacent. I hate being comfortable. So I'm constantly trying to like improve.
That's fair. Because of that, my question is, how do you keep yourself, because you're always like motivated, aspiring, just like passionate and just like very motivated. How do you keep yourself from enjoying it? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you also have to realize, like, I mean, what's the point of doing all this if you can't enjoy it at the same time? How do you balance that?
That has been the biggest thing I've been like working on lately. Is like it started to really deter like my mental health and relationships around me, because it was like I was constantly comparing myself. I was constantly trying to improve. I was constantly working to the point where it's like it was like the more successful I got, it was like the more I was damaging myself and like the less happy I was becoming. But it's like lately it's like, okay, I'm gonna take a step back. I'm gonna recognize like, I'm Christian. So like I'm like,
okay,
yeah, this is like, I'm keeping the faith and like I'm being just much more grateful for the opportunities that I've had. Where I'm like, hey, like, you know, yes, this happened, and yes, it like is amazing, and yes, I want to do more, but I need to be like, wow, like,
grateful.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right.
Because like the newest mindset kind of has been like what you just said, along the lines of like, imagine if I told myself 2 years ago where I'd be, or even like, you know, go back 10 years ago, tell like 14-year-old Cade who's like riddled with acne and like uncoordinated and skinny and all this other stuff. Not that I'm like big now, but like I'm bigger than I was. Yeah, like just being able to like look back and be like, that is insane.
Yeah, man. I think I've heard a lot about the stress of modeling in general and how like honestly, it's I mean, I think if it's well played, it can be a good career, but it's generally speaking like a short-lived career. I mean, it's very limited as a model unless you're able to sort of have a really good manager that gets you into like different things as you age. Like
the modeling industry is very interesting. There's like a lot of different areas to it that like I'm still learning. What I've learned though is like the more you build up relationships and the more you build up your reputation, the more you can elongate it, because it does become more of like a who you know versus like how you look type thing. Because it's like, you know, we can go downtown Denver. I could probably find a lot of guys who, you know, could be successful in the modeling industry, maybe even more successful than me. But I think because like I've built a good network, I've built a good reputation so far. Yeah. And also, you know, I've proven myself. That has helped me kind of like exceed and like far surpass where I thought I'd be at this point. As well as like, if you take care of yourself, it can be a long career. And also like as a guy, like we age better in a way where it's like, I think we hit like our physical peak when we're like 29 to 32 or something like that. So it's like I still haven't even gotten to like as good as I could look physically, as well as like
and stuff,
the skills you learn in modeling, because it's like it's a lot of learning about angling and lighting and flashes and, you know, facial expressions. Like there's a lot of different things that go into it that you just kind of get better at over time.
Okay. Now you mentioned this, and we didn't plan to talk about this, but I do want to dive deep into it because I myself am also a Christian. Mm-hmm. How has your faith played into your modeling career in general? Have you had any sort of, you know, sort of like interactions, or I guess any sort of clashes into your belief system, or like how have you been navigating that and making sure you're...
So that's a really great question. I was thinking about that on the way up because like I knew I was going to bring it up. Just because like I'm truly grateful for everything that I have. Yeah. And also it's who I am, and it doesn't come out a ton on social media.
Right.
Just because like I'm not gonna make any excuses. I just haven't posted about it a whole time. Right. But you know, I think that like growing up, I was given a very good like moral compass.
Yeah.
So it's like I have my beliefs on like what I believe is right, what I believe is wrong.
Right.
And I'm not gonna like subject myself for a paycheck. Like working with Playboy is like, you know, that's kind of like that's a difficult area. But my belief system is that God has everything planned for us. Like everything that we do is all part of his plan.
Right.
It was his plan for me to work with them, especially because like I don't do, you know, when I say I work with Playboy, everyone assumes I'm like naked and in the magazines and stuff. That's like, no, I'm modeling men's apparel. And, you know, despite what other people believe, like I love to have conversations with people about their faith, their beliefs, whether it's aligns with mine or not, just because I don't think that there's a correct one, but I believe there's a correct one for each person. I think that like, because if you boil all like faith down, it all goes to the same point of like, there is a higher being or beings, there's a plan, and all the rules are the same of like, treat each other with kindness, be fair, be loyal, be honest, all those types of things. So my personal viewpoint on Christianity is God created me with a plan. Mm-hmm. He had a plan put in place for me, And part of that plan involves modeling without, shirts on and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you look at, like, Alex Eubank and, like, a bunch of other, like, fitness influencers who are also pretty much doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, it is something that I've built. It's something that I'm proud of, and it's also an opportunity for me to impact other people as well as generate a income.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm passionate about. Like, I love modeling. I love the conversations I get to have, where I get to talk about it and provide insight that people might not know, or inspire, like, a viewer out there to, like, do their first shoot or submit to their first agency or post their first Instagram photo, something like that. It's like, I like that aspect of it, and I believe that, God's using me as, like, a vessel to influence others.
Yeah, I think that's good. And as long as, what I'll say also is that, like, God presents you also with opportunities, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like, I believe in manifestation, but I also believe in, like you said, God's plan. So
right.
Like, things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're so successful also, is in God's plan as well. And as long as you're pursuing it with a good heart.
Yeah.
I think you aren't doing anything wrong. Yeah, exactly.
And intention is everything. Like, if I was doing it to promote my OnlyFans or something like that, it'd be a lot different. Which I don't have an OnlyFans.
Are you sure about that? No, I'm kidding.
No, but you should. Do you see my stories when I do, like, the anonymous Q&A?
Oh my gosh!
I do, like,
give people background into this, because this is on your story, like, very frequently. Yeah, so you do, like, Q&As.
Yeah, so I do an anonymous Q&A. I try to do it once a week. The reason I do anonymous Q&A is I believe that influences more people to, like, write a question and engage. Because it's like, some people want to ask something, like, a lot of people ask about diet advice. A lot of people ask about, like, personal advice, skincare. They talk about stuff that they're, like, insecure about, or things that they're curious about that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Or my viewpoints on it. And when they know I can see their name, that might deter them from asking the question. And so I would rather, like, people engage. So I do the anonymous Q&As, and every single time I do an anonymous Q&A, I get upwards of, like, 200 to 400 inquiries about an OnlyFans. And I won't shame anybody who does it. Like, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. In terms of, like, my modeling reputation and my reputation with, like, my clients, or for my books, or for any things I'm doing outside of the modeling industry, I think that it can have a very negative impact on my reputation.
Yeah, 'cause that's interesting. Do you think, first and foremost, two-part question.
Yeah.
Do a lot of models have OnlyFans? And if so, or if not, how does that affect their career?
So,
or what do you like?
I know a fair amount of models. Like, a lot of my, like, close friends who are models do have one. And it's a way for them to generate passive income because, they have the following for it, they have the look for it. And it kind of, it depends on what you're trying to do within the modeling industry.
Okay, fair enough.
So my goal, I want to continue to be on Times Square billboards. I want to continue to get to travel the world to do runways, and I want to do bigger and bigger shows and work with, more sophisticated, quote unquote, brands. Just because, that's something that I truly love to do, and those are goals of mine. And I'm not saying that, like, having one would 100% ruin my chances, but I don't want to put it at risk.
Also, I think it attests to, I guess, your dedication to your faith as well, right?
Right. Because it would be short-term satisfaction for a lot of long-term negative impact.
Yeah.
Especially, like, because if I have kids or something like that, I don't want them to have to. I would ruin their life if they, like, in high school, if their friends found out. Oh my gosh.
So what I want to move on to next is present day.
Yep.
What are some future plans, future things, or things you have going on right now that you can share of that you're excited about? What's, like, some big stuff that's going on?
Right. Oh, I love this question. So as I talked about, I am preparing to do a docu-series on preparing for London, Italy, and Dubai Fashion Week.
Okay.
I have a cinematographer for that. He's renting, like, a cinema camera, and we're going all out. I think we're starting to film that in the next 2 weeks. We're going to film, like, the first portion of it.
Sick.
The next big thing that I have is I am going, I'm not going to disclose the location, but I will be shooting for Vogue coming up shortly.
Sick.
Yeah, so that I'm preparing for that for this last week, and this week is a lot of prep for that. And then my big project is I am working on my 4th book,
Ebook.
My
Yep.
4th ebook. Yep, it will be free for the first 3 days on Amazon. And
Okay.
if you DM me, I will send you the link.
Okay.
The only thing I ask for in return, to all the viewers and everybody on social media is write a review.
Mm-hmm.
If I'll give it to you for free, just leave a review.
Yep.
It helps me out a lot.
What's the ebook going to be about?
So the ebook is titled The Winter Arc. This is
Okay.
a huge thing I've seen all over social media for the last 1 or 2 years. Everyone
Yeah.
talks about the Winter Arc, revenge, villain,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And it's sort of cringe in a way to talk about it like that, but I do like the premise about it of put your hoodie on, put your head down, focus on the gym, focus on yourself,
Right.
that kind of thing. So this book is essentially a guide on how to do that.
Just lock
So-
in. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a lot of it is nutrition information. So
Okay.
it's how to bulk properly, how to cut properly, how to calculate your macros, how to calculate your calories, and then the importance of each macronutrient, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, as well as this was a newer thing that I added not too long ago. It's a personal development section. So
Okay.
reading, journaling prompts, all that kind of stuff, stuff for you to do the internal work, because working on your internal and your mental is equally as important as working on your
If
physique.
not more. Yeah.
Exactly. I would argue
100%.
it's more.
Yeah.
And then it also comes with a full workout program, ab plan, and cardio.
Sick.
So essentially, it essentially can be worked as a 12-week guide of how to eat properly, how to take care of your mental, and how to get jacked or shredded, depending on what you want to do.
Facts. And I want to piggyback off of the fact that you're a very ambitious man. What sort of career goals do you have for yourself? I mean, you've already set the standard so high, I think, for yourself, and you've
Yeah.
already accomplished so much, but what are some of the career goals you have, if you have any, in the upcoming future?
So I also run my own personal training business.
Oh, okay.
So my goal is to get to 500 clients in the next 2 years.
Damn.
Because I want to start to hire employees. I want to start to hire other trainers. I want to start to grow the business. So as of right now, the website I took down because I'm completely rebranding it.
Oh,
It used to
okay,
be
sick.
focused on, the slogan used to be sculpt your masterpiece. So it used to
Okay.
be you as a person, whether you're skinny or overweight or whatever it is, you are a piece of stone. And what I'm here to help you do is to chip away at it so that you can build your physique. And I realized that was kind of that was what a lot of people were doing, and it was
Yeah.
a little too broad. So I'm getting a little bit more specific. So I'm switching it. So the new program, basically, I'll be launching within the next 2 or 3 months, is cover body fitness. How
Okay.
do you get the body of a international magazine cover model?
Oh, okay.
How can you build the physique, that to be proud of, that
Yeah.
you would want to show off in that context.
Sure.
So basically, it's to help people build their confidence. And then the other thing too is I want to, I don't like to put numerical values on stuff, because I think that if you're doing well but you don't hit certain numbers, if you put a number on a following count or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But it's I just want to, continue to impact as many people as I can. My goal is to impact 1 million people a month right now.
In terms of outreach?
In terms of my outreach, yeah.
Okay.
So right now we're sitting at a 250,000 a month.
Damn, dude.
So I want to get that up to 1 million, just to touch as many lives as possible, influence
Sure.
as many people as possible, give out as much information as possible.
That's sick. Do you plan on doing more content creation in terms of YouTube or anything like that, other than that docu-series? Because I feel yeah, I mean, if you were to because we were talking about this,
Yeah.
this is why I bring it up, is because you were thinking about also vlogging as well, because I mean, you have a really interesting perspective in terms of your career
Right.
and the position you're in. So documenting that not only is, I think, entertaining, but I would see it as something you would also enjoy, since you like to journal and do all that
Right,
type
yeah.
of stuff too.
No,
right?
I do enjoy vlogging. I have one vlog up right now. It's a day in the life of a fix your lid shoot, and it was super fun. The videographer did a phenomenal job. Shout out Jordan. So yeah, vlogging is definitely something I want to be doing more of. I have not created the time to do so, and also everyone's oh well, just do it with your phone, just do this. It's I'm such a perfectionist that it's I want it to be top tier quality. I want it to be the
I
best
feel
it
that.
can be, because I want to put something up that I'm confident in.
Right.
And I know that the content matters more than the quality, but it's
Correct.
When you have both, I think that you have a recipe for a really successful, channel.
Yeah, I agree. We sort of talked about this a minute ago, but are there any sort of notable milestones you want to hit as either a fashion model or like any other sort of like actual like things you want to achieve when it comes to like your career? Because I mean, the billboard in New York.
I know the billboard on Times Square was like one of them.
Yeah, I know.
That happened. I would love to get another one. So how that billboard works is it was up like temporarily. Like it was up for like a couple minutes, I think.
Okay.
So I didn't even get to see it in person.
Okay.
But my goal is to get a campaign that is on Times Square for like a year. Like they're like for a long time.
How long are like typical sort of campaigns for clothing brands?
Honestly, it depends.
Because you're buying the time on
so
the billboards,
like,
right?
Kind of how campaigns work is like is what majority of people think of when they think of modeling is like what a campaign is. It's like the billboards and then like the stuff like the store on the wall, like the wall on the store.
Yeah.
Like stuff.
The artwork on
exactly,
the
like
store,
the commercials and all that other kind of stuff. So it kind of depends. Like it can be a couple months, it can be a couple years. Depends on like the usage. But yeah, so I'd love to be on Times Square for like a year.
That'd be sick.
That'd be super sick. That'd be a dream come true for me. Another, just like more campaigns. Getting to continue to travel is a big one. Like I really want to do a shoot and shows in Milan, like for
Italy.
Milan Fashion Week, which I think we're doing. I'm not 100% sure yet.
Wow.
But that's a big goal of mine.
Are there any brands that you were, I guess, that eventually sometime in your life that you would love to work with?
Yeah.
I mean, let's manifest it.
Let's manifest it. I love it. I would love to work with, like Dior and Versace and all that kind of stuff, just because it's like, that's the pinnacle of like where to be. But also it's like, if I go my whole modeling career and I don't hit it, but I get like, I think striving for that is going to get me so much further than anything else. Yeah. So I'm constantly trying to like improve and get better. So it's like getting to work with high fashion brands like that, getting to do commercials, campaigns. Those are the goals and the dreams.
100%.
Right there. But all of it kind of boils down to like I want to impact as many people as possible.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's sick, bro. I think you have a great story to tell, and I'm glad that you were able to tell it here on the podcast. But is there anything you want the audience to know, anything that they should be looking forward to? Obviously, we'll attach all your socials, all that kind of thing. Anything that you want to tell anybody?
So Winter Arc ebook is being launched on Amazon for free December 1st. Just, download, leave reviews, support, all that kind of stuff. Code WOOD at Edge Lifestyle, code Cade at Nutra Innovations. And then the biggest thing I'll tell everybody out there is people get too caught up in the perception of other people. And this is something that I've started to notice. Exactly. Because everyone will tell me like, oh, I want to post. Oh, I want to do social media. Oh, I want to model. Just do it. The people that don't support you are showing you, who they are. Yeah. And, like if you're like, oh, my friends are going to judge me. It's like, then they're probably not your friends.
Ooh, that's hard,
like,
bro.
The biggest thing is perception is not reality. You need to, people need to go after who they want to be. Yeah. Like, the person that you should care the most about is your opinion of yourself. 100%. And that's pretty much where I've been putting a lot of my focus and attention on lately, and I've started to see a lot of changes in my mental health and, like, where I'm at in my life. And so I just want to inspire others to do the exact same thing.
That's awesome, man. Wise words from a very young guy, I have to say. But yeah, I'll be sure to attach your socials online. But once again, thanks for hopping on to the pod. We're gonna hit a gym session right after this.
Yes,
we're gonna hit some back and buys. But yeah, thank you for coming on to the pod. I really appreciate your time, bro. And I know that you're gonna be very successful. I mean, you're already successful, but I mean, just like you have so much more to accomplish.
Keep it going.
I'm proud of you, dude.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on the pod. It was a great time.
Yeah, of course. All right, thanks for watching, guys.